Welcome to Hello Therapy, a podcast to help you take charge of your mental health through evidence-based psychological tips and tools straight from the therapy room so that you can live life better. You just can't stop overthinking everything, and it's starting to get in the way of your life. It's causing anxiety and worry, and you just don't know where to turn. In this episode, I'm going to teach you a unique way to stop overthinking in its tracks, which in turn will help you reduce anxiety and worry. I am your host, Dr. Liz White, consultant clinical psychologist with over 20 years experience in mental health. We release an episode every Tuesday, so don't forget to subscribe or follow the podcast so you don't miss out. So let's dive in. The bottom line is that human beings have the ability to time travel, or more accurately, our minds have the ability to time travel. Let me explain. Haven't you ever noticed that when you're ruminating, catastrophizing, overthinking, overanalyzing, you are either in the future or in the past? You can think of it like being on a literal timeline. So at one end, you've got scary future, and at the other end, you've got uncertain past. And we tend to oscillate between these 2 points, and it's really difficult to stay in the here and now. So let's take the example of Zach. Zach worries a lot about things that might happen in the future. Every day he has thoughts like, what if I don't do well in the job interview? Then I might not be able to pay the rent if I don't get the job. And if I can't pay the rent, then I'll be evicted, and then we'll end up homeless and on the streets. Zach spends a lot of time in an imagined scary future. He ends up spiraling in his mind, caught up in all of the worries, all of the anxious predictions that might happen. So it's no surprise that he feels anxious quite a lot of the time. Then there's Michaela. Michaela tends to worry about things that have happened in the past, and her anxiety centers around what other people think about her. She can spend hours going over and over what she said and did on a night out with her friends. She worries that she might have said something to offend them and fears that they might not like her as a result. After seeing her friends, she tends to really overanalyze things like, Emma gave me a weird look at the bar. Did I do something wrong? Was I looking awkward when I was talking to people last night? Maybe I was being too quiet. What if people think that I'm shy? Am I going to lose my friends? So we can see in those 2 examples that whether they're future-focused worries or ruminations over things that have happened in the past, it can cause significant anxiety, fear, worry. And it's always worst case scenario thinking that gets focused on, the absolutely worst thing that could happen. And that is really tough to experience, particularly on a daily basis. But how do you stop overthinking? How do you stop going from the future to the past in your mind? So to help you with this, I have a completely free download. The link is in the show notes. The freebie is a fillable worksheet, and it has spaces for you to fill in your thoughts and your worries when they are future focused and when they are focused on the past. So there are actually quite a few psychological techniques to help you with overthinking, but I'm just going to focus on one. Now, you may have guessed it already, but the thing that I teach my clients in therapy is to, rather than be in the future or in the past, you try and get present in the here and now. But it's not quite as simple as just getting present, because your mind is really good at pulling you into the future and pulling you into the past all the time. It has become a habit. So we need to build a new habit instead. And this consists of 2 things. First, being aware of when you are time traveling. And second, making a conscious choice to shift your focus to the here and now. So let's take the first part. How do you build awareness of when you are time traveling? Put simply, practice. We want you to essentially move out of autopilot mode and into more of an observational or noticing mode. Noticing what your mind is doing. And that can be as simple as, I'm noticing that I'm time traveling, or I'm noticing that I'm thinking about the future, or I'm thinking about the past. Now, when we're not used to noticing what our minds are doing, it can be very tricky. So here is a bit of a bonus tip. Use your feelings to help guide your awareness. What do I mean by this? Well, when we are ruminating, overanalyzing, overthinking, we usually experience some form of anxiety, and it might be quite small, but there will be telltale signs in your body that that is happening. So, for example, you may notice that your heart rate has elevated a little bit, or you've started to breathe quicker. You may have a sort of sick feeling in your stomach or a sense of impending doom. And it's about tuning into those cues to help you identify, okay, I'm time traveling right now. Am I in the past or am I in the future? So once you are aware that you are time traveling, it's time to shift your focus to the here and now. Now, on the second page of my freebie, I've got loads of ideas that you can try to get present. But I'm going to talk you through a couple of things that I do to help me get present in my life. Now, by far the simplest way to get present is just to use your 5 senses, or 1 or 2 of your 5 senses. So something that I like to do is just to say to myself, right now, what are the sounds that I can hear around me? And then I will literally just tune in, just listen to the sound. Or right now, what are the colours that I can see around me? And then I will describe that to myself in rich detail. Right now, what can I feel against my skin? And sometimes people find it helpful to write down what they're noticing or to journal what they're noticing. Now, the other way to get into the here and now is to use a small grounding object. Now, this can be any object that is small enough to fit in your hand or in your pocket, and you just get it out, have a look at it, hold it in your hand, really focus on all of the intricacies of that object. So what texture does it have? What weight is it? Is it hot? Is it cold? What are the colours? And so on. My grounding object is the piece of fabric that you get in those like sofa stores. And I love this because it's velvet and it's really soft. And whenever I pick this up, it's a sort of indication to myself that this is me getting present. So take some time to find the right grounding object for you. Now, the thing to note here is that your mind will be really good at trying to pull you into the past or back to the future. But remember that you don't actually have to engage with the content of your thoughts. You can just have a bit of a shortcut and say, I'm time traveling, rather than really thinking about what the worry is saying. I'm going to lose my house, or I'm going to lose my friends. And that brings us to the end of the episode. I do hope that you found something helpful. Don't forget to download the freebie, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of Hello Therapy. If you found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe, follow and review. You can get more well-being and mental health tips by joining our email list and visiting the resources section of our website at harleyclinical.co.uk. The Hello Therapy podcast and the information provided by me, Dr. Liz White, is solely intended for information and educational purposes and does not constitute personalised advice. Please do reach out to your GP or a mental health professional if you need support. Until next time, take care of yourself.